There is no standing apology now. The DS is here.
Speaker, Honorable Boroto, we have an apology.
Honorable. Okay, Honorable Boroto. Okay.
I know, ma'am, there's a second apology. I'll check now. I'll indicate to them my apologies.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Honorable Lisoma.
Lisoma. Thank you.
Honorable Majodina, I will leave the platform, Honorable Speaker, by 9:30.
Thank you very much, Honorable Majodina.
Because I'm in the Pan-African Parliament. I'm sorry, I'm in the Pan-African Parliament, so I'm starting a session at that time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, the other one, ma'am, apologies, is Honorable Ntombela has also apologized.
Yes, Baban Ntombela.
Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Colleagues, shall we then proceed to consider the agenda before us?
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I withdraw that one. Maybe I did not make a notice to make those people aware that I would be available for this morning.
Thank you very much, Nadim Ntombela. Colleagues, we now proceed. There's the copy of the agenda before you. You can see it on the screen, but it has been brought to my attention that the program committee needs to take a decision on the status of questions to the governance cluster, which are scheduled for Wednesday, the 15th of March. For that one, I think we should finalize the matter when we consider the program committee. Is that agreed, honorable members? Shall we then move for the adoption of the agenda, please?
Speaker, there's a hand.
Ms. Kwahube, honorable.
Hi, morning, Madam Speaker and colleagues. I just wanted to find out the matter around the ad hoc committee. Will that be considered under the parliamentary program section?
Honorable Kwahube. That matter, I'm aware that it was discussed at the meeting of the chief whips, which you were part of. So when we get to the programming committee, you can talk to it.
Thank you.
We then proceed, honorable member. Anyone? Yes, adoption of the agenda has been.
Sheikh Imam.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh Imam. We then proceed to consider the minutes of the meeting of the 2nd of March, honorable members. Minutes of the meeting of the 2nd, yeah.
Mr. Singh's hand is up, ma'am.
Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Speaker. I think it's my amendment that I want to propose is further up or further down, whichever way you want to look at it. When they come to where I spoke, then I will come in. On
the proposal seconded, okay. That was the consideration of the agenda. Okay, we'll check when we get there. Thank you very much, Honorable Singh, for drawing my attention to that. Proceed.
Yes, can we pause there, Honorable Speaker?
Yes, Honorable Singh.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I was going to suggest that after the word 2 weeks in that sentence, which is a full stop, we remove therefore, because the first line and second line are not linked. So we remove therefore and start the sentence with he could not also understand.
So we remove therefore.
Yeah, we remove therefore, start the sentence with he could not also understand why parties would be concerned about how others would vote.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you have minuted that.
We've taken note. We've taken note, Madam Speaker.
Yes, yes. We proceed. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of our minutes. Are there any matters you would like to correct in the minutes other than what Honorable Singh has already raised?
Honorable Speaker, can I move for adoption with the amendment? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I second that the minutes be adopted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma. So the minutes having been adopted, honorable members, we then proceed to deal with the matters, consider the matters arising from the minutes of the second. Now, under matters arising, I have a matter which was raised last week, which is the appointment of candidates to the SABC board. And I will give that to Mr. Kaso to give a report of where we are now.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, honorable members. At the last meeting, the Speaker did indicate that the chairperson of the committee had been favored with a correspondence that emanated from the office of the Speaker and that which emanated from the executive. I would like to report that the chair did respond, or at least did make a further submission, which was then conveyed to the executive. And the essence of the submission is that the committee complied with all that which it was required to comply with in terms of looking at the candidates that were interviewed. And the chair also explained why the committee felt that the 3 additional candidates were necessary to present to the House and ultimately to the President, and based on previous practice, but also based on some of the issues that were stated in this meeting last week. So that in the event that any of the candidates in the 12 would not be available, there would be a possibility for the President to choose from the rest of the candidates. And of course, the chair also clarified that the issue of 12 applied to the appointing authority, not to Parliament. There's no restriction in terms of how many candidates Parliament should present to the executive. So I thought, Madam Speaker, we should just clarify that that point has been responded to, and that's where it stands at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, are there any further comments on the matter? Honorable Member, Chief Whip of the opposition parties.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you to Mr. Kaso for the report. Just so that we are clear, because I think as Honorable Majordina last week so passionately made the point, that we need to know that where we are concerned as Parliament, we have complied with everything that was expected of us. Just to understand, the letter from the executive requiring further clarity, was the clarity with regards to the number of names only, or were there other concerns that were raised? Because then if that has been clarified, my assumption then would be the matter should be moving in the correct direction, especially considering what the CEO of SABC had said about the fact that the work of the institution is now hobbled by the lack of the board. So in order for us to hold the executive to account, we need to know exactly what is their problem with regards to the board, and what did we supply to them. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwahobe. Honorable Kwahobe, in my report last week to the programming committee, I did indicate that The one issue which was raised in the letter of the president is, one, the status of the people who were being nominated, whether in fact vetting had been conducted. And of course, we responded to indicate, yes, the people were vetted. However, and then of course, there was the issue of the extra 3 people, right? Which is a matter which has now been clarified by Mr. Kaso, stated in the report of the chairperson of the committee. So that is basically all. And I just think that your member who sits in the committee on communication can assist you to have perhaps see a copy or through the copy of the correspondence which I had forwarded to the chairperson of the portfolio committee. Thank you very much. We then proceed, honorable members. Are there any other matters arising from the minutes?
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I wish further to report that the bills that Ms. Honorable Hendrickson had raised in this meeting, issues around, those have been scheduled for this afternoon. They will be debated in a mini plenary for first reading debate this afternoon. And once they have been debated, they will then be referred to the relevant committees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, since we're talking about bills and the presidency, do we have any idea if the electoral amendment bill has been signed off by the president? Thank you.
We will establish that, Madam Speaker. I don't have the information at this point.
No idea.
If we get it
No
before
idea as yet. No, I'm not informed that the bill has been signed as yet. Usually, once the president receives the bill, and we are informed when the matter has been concluded. For now, we have no information that the matter has been dealt with at all. Thank you, Honorable
Speaker.
Shall we then proceed to deal with are we happy now? There are no other matters arising out of the minutes? If there are none, we then proceed to receive a report from the committee section. Ms. Kiba.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. A very good morning to you and to the honorable members, as well as my colleagues. The report on committee section bills before committees of the National Assembly. On slide number 2, we are reporting that there are 29 ordinary bills before the NA committees, with the introduction of the 2 bills, the Division of Revenue Bill, as well as the Appropriation Bill last night. On slide number 4, the NHID, the National Health Insurance Bill before the Portfolio Committee on Health, was not finalized as planned, and the committee will advise on their program on when they are going to finalize the bill. Then we move to slide number 12, Madam Speaker. There are 2 updates on this slide. The first one is on the Maintenance Amendment Bill. The Portfolio Committee on Justice will receive a response from the department on the bill on the 15th of March, as well as the bill before the Standing Committee on Finance. Further briefings are scheduled for this bill on the 15th of March as well. And we move to slide number 17. On this slide, we are reflecting the program of the committee with regard to the Division of Revenue Bill, as well as the second Adjustments Appropriation Bill. The committee intending to finalize its work on both bills on the 17th of March. Slide number 20. There is also a revised date for finalization of the work of the Portfolio Committee on Public Service on the appointment of a commissioner in the Public Service Commission. The revised date is the 15th of March. Then on slide number 22, the ad hoc committee on the floods, disaster relief and recovery has also been established by both houses. We will soon be writing to the whipperies of all the political parties to request names of possible members to constitute the committee. That will be done today, Madam Speaker. And on the last slide, we have a new petition, slide number 24. We have a new petition before the PC on cooperative governance, and we will provide updates on the work of the committee on that petition as it becomes available. That concludes my report. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kiba. Honorable members, are there any questions, clarity on the report? Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the report. On the issue of the ad hoc committee on the floods, my impression was that it was an extension of the work that they had originally started. So is there a need to re-look at the constitution of those committees unless parties want to change them or accept the former members as the members of that committee? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Singh. Mr. Kaso.
Ma'am, just to indicate that largely this committee deals with what was dealt with last year, but the committee should remember that there are two other provinces that were not part of the resolution of last year. So it's effectively a new resolution. If parties prefer to use the same members, that should still be okay. It's really up to the parties. But we do need new memberships, a new committee effectively, because of the new mandate that it has or additional mandate that it has. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. I hope that clarifies the matter and puts it to rest.
Yes, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. We then proceed, if there aren't any other matters from this report, we proceed to deal with the report of the bills office. Ms. Dr. Mbata.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. In our report, we only have updates on slide 2, where we report that the PC on Justice reported on the Prevention of Hate Crimes and Hate Speech Bill, and the bill is scheduled for second reading on the 14th of March. And Honorable Speaker, we also report that the Division of Revenue Bill and the Appropriation Bill were referred to the Standing Committee on Appropriations for consideration and report after the House passed the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. And lastly, Madam Speaker, we also report that all the 4 money bills that were introduced in February were classified. That's all from the Bills Office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mbata. Honorable members, that was the report from the Bills Office. I see the hand of Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm earning my money today.
Yes.
Yeah, on the question of that mediation, I think it's a gambling bill. What processes have been undertaken so far for that to go to mediation? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other hand? Mr. Kaso?
Madam Speaker, we request to present a report on that one, on the gambling bill next week. Okay. The point
Next
is,
week?
thank you.
Okay then, honorable members, that's the response. Jerome, you had your hand up and I see you've lowered it. Was it a mistake?
It must have been an error. It's one of the hosts. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. That brings us to the end of the item number 6 on the bills from the Bills Office. We now consider the draft parliamentary report, and I invite Honorable Lisuma. She had an apology, but I had a speak here at some point. So I'm assuming that you are still here.
It's the spirit, I think.
Honorable
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, the Chief Whip or the Deputy Chief Whip can indicate if I should proceed if Mr. Soma is not coming, or if they are not going to present the programs.
No, I am, Mr. X and Mr. Honorable Speaker. My apology.
Okay. Yes, we're waiting for you to proceed then.
Oh, okay. No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. If I may allow, noting that the program has been circulated to members, is that there are no much changes except the highlight And I will also cover the points that were referred to this item. One, Honorable Speaker, is that there are specific issues that we have populated as promising, that as the weeks progress, we populate issues as they get finalized by committees and get 80 seat accordingly. On March 14, there are, if it can be just be beamed so that I can just read them. We must say that these items were also presented before the Chief Whip's Forum yesterday. It's a money bills, the first reading, and it's the first and its second reading, then followed by the items on the 23rd of March, which are as well 23rd of March, which are highlighted, and they were also populated and presented to the Chief Whip's Forum yesterday, which starts from item number 4, which is appropriation, is monetary bills. Let me say that in summary, all of them until item number 7, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. The other point that we'd like to talk to will be the motion by Honorable and the private members bill, first reading of Honorable Hendricks. We have had an engagement with him or negotiating with him that if then he must prioritize whether he wants his members bill or the motion, because otherwise he would have exhausted his sequence of items or motions. And he agreed that let's schedule the two bills, which would be then be at mini plenary sittings on the 16th of March. The third point that we'd like to talk to, Honorable Speaker, is to give a sense of comfort to this meeting that we have checked through the normal back office work with the assistance of the Deputy Chief Whip of the majority party, that the Deputy President, as new as he is, but he's comfortable that we don't change the date, because there was a caution that was raised yesterday in respect of governance cluster, but we thought we must just do everything, regardless whether it's new or what. He said we shouldn't, because noting that the dates were pre-agreed even when we're looking at the framework of the National Assembly program for 2023. The other one then, which I would, which is the fifth point, is that in terms of governance cluster, we have requested as well the Honorable Deputy Chief Whip to check with the new ministers, because it was raised that we don't want to do the box ticking exercise when questions are being asked. And then I'll request, through your permission, if you allow Honorable Deputy Chief Whip just to give us a sense of comfort in terms of the homework that we requested her to do as usual, as the back office work. The other one, Chair, is the one now of the motion of the DA. We agreed yesterday at the Chief Whip's Forum that it needs to be tabled, and correctly, Honorable Kwahobe, Chief Whip of the opposition party, main opposition party, tabled it because we couldn't conclude it even from our side as the programming team. We couldn't make any recommendation this morning because the matter, as far as we thought, it was debated in the House and then decided upon, and the other matters are outside our control, which are legal processes that are happening. Unless then this meeting suggests otherwise, then we will also populate the motion. But we thought that it's the same motion, and then it should be said here the difference. Because let me just stop there. But if there are gray areas as well on this one, is that Mr. Kaso can chip in. But from where I'm seated, I had a dilemma. How do I schedule that one? But we agreed that if there are any other such issues that are below the line that we might have omitted because we're focusing on matters from the portfolio committees or joint standing committees, then we will ensure that are communicated and prioritized if need arises. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and honorable members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma, for your report, for your presentation. Honorable members, that was the report from Honorable Lisuma. Honorable members, I see the hand of Honorable Ntlangwini. I recognize you, Honorable member.
Thanks very much, Chair. I just want to find clarity from the Honorable Lisuma because I didn't hear her talking to it. It's the motion of the removal of the speaker. Is it now finalized? We are using the City Hall on the 22nd of March because we don't want to come back to this platform and then a venue is not finalized on the set date as the clumsy mistake she have made earlier on putting it on the 7th without a venue. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ntlangwini. Honorable Kwahube.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I have written a letter to you essentially making the case that I would like the NAPC in terms of Rule 119 to decide on the scheduling of a draft resolution that we would like to bring to the House. The draft resolution would be in effect to establish an ad hoc committee that would look into the Phala Phala matter. Yes, a debate was held last year in September, and the matter of the ad hoc committee was debated and was voted on, and the matter was turned down by the vote of the House. Because it is a new parliamentary year, we are submitting a new motion, a new draft resolution requesting the establishment of an ad hoc committee. This is spurred by new facts which have been revealed by the South African Reserve, by the SARS, around the complicity, or at the very least, the alleged complicity of the president in terms of tax laws. So what am I asking the NAPC to do? I'm asking, I see that the draft resolution has been printed under further business on the order paper this morning. I'm asking that the NAPC schedules the draft resolution for voting in the National Assembly without a debate, because we believe that the debate we had last year did traverse many of these matters, but we want to bring that vote to the House so that, since there are now new compelling reasons why Parliament needs to have an ad hoc committee. We know that the Section 89 panel process was completed without having established an impeachment inquiry. And our view is that Parliament has yet to investigate the matter fully. So we would like an opportunity to bring this to the House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwahube. Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Good morning to you and to your colleagues. Two issues on the programming. Last week, when we were dealing with peace and security cluster, there was also a disturbing response from the Deputy Minister who couldn't answer any question. And when we rightfully so raise it there in Parliament to say, it can be that after we have this program for a long time communicated to the ministers, to everyone, there is no way that the minister is not available, but when the deputy minister is available, he can't also respond to question and answer, which is very important in terms of the accountability of the ministers. So I would like to know if that thing is not going to repeat itself as we are talking about the program, Madam Speaker. Again, yesterday, it was a question and answer, and you see, you also have a very difficult situation whereby there were not enough chairs of those people who were supposed to be in the House yesterday. It also delayed the Parliament because it was a poor planning on the side of the ANC. I just want to know if it's not going to repeat itself again, as it was not reflecting correctly on the work of Parliament. That is the first thing. The second issue is the one that is raised by Honorable Kwahube, the leader of the chief whip of the opposition party. We did have this discussion yesterday in the Chief Whip's Forum. She introduced the matter. I also entered and said, we as EFF have written to you, Madam Speaker, as well on the same matter. Unfortunately, your response was not addressing the matter of the ad hoc committee that the EFF is also writing to you about. You decided to become a constitutional expert in telling us what has happened in the Constitutional Court. But the fact of the matter, or the point that we were driving home, was to say that we need to establish this ad hoc committee in terms of Section 189, because we have to start a process of removing the president. So therefore, we would like to hear from you. And we are not expecting anyone to tell us that is the letter between the EFF and the Speaker, because we have written to you on the 2nd of March and we have responded, and we are not satisfied with that response. I think is the work of the parliament that's supposed to deal with this matter, and the South Africans out there are waiting for parliament to do their work, not to shield the president, because the president is accountable even here in parliament on behalf of the South Africans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kalipi. I see the hand of Honorable Papo. Honorable Papo.
Just wanted to indicate that the issue of the follow-up, hopefully the Deputy Chief will explain also. There was only to check with the new ministers in the presidency, but the other ministers are not new. It was Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, whether their availability will be available, and Minister Nchaveni. But hopefully sometime today there will be a clarity on that. But the rest of the ministers in the clusters are not new. And then the other issue is that once again we have a problem, but we'll hopefully deal it with the same way we dealt last week. There's a physical cabinet meeting in Tshwane on that day, and the approach we're going to adopt is that same one where we want all the ministers to respond, but there's the backup will be the deputy ministers. And then we've agreed with Honorable Lesoma that in the next term we should not schedule on days where there are physical cabinet meetings. It creates complications in the program, because that time it was easy because and then I wanted to raise this issue around this so-called ad hoc committee of the proposed by the DA. I think she says it's a new parliamentary year. The issue of the times of when motions can be tabled should be checked, but I'm not arguing with that, so that we can table that more, because that's their understanding of what SARS has said, because there is there are investigations by law enforcement agencies. That motion can be brought. It will be defeated again. I think that must be clear from the onset.
That's out of order.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Totally out of order.
Honorable Papo, I did not ask you to prophesize whether the resolution will be defeated or not. I simply gave you an opportunity to make a point. These are issues which are on the table, and it was the first part of your response was enough. Thank you. Honorable members, I then invite the Honorable Jakude.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you and colleagues on the platform. The Chief Whip's hand is up, Honorable Speaker. I think I will allow her to speak. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Jakude. Honorable Machodina. Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to all the presiding officers and honorable members on the platform. Honorable Speaker, let me welcome the presentation of the programming by the programming committee. Two, on the issue of the motion of the Democratic Alliance. If the submission by the Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance is that there are new developments on the Parapara matter. Let that matter be discussed in mini plenaries. Let their motion be taken to mini plenaries. Then out of that, we'll treat it like the way we have done with other motions. Then we'll deal with that when it comes to the House. Because if you talk about, I don't want to get into details. If you talk about the removal of the president through the impeachment, what are the basics for that? So maybe that debate in the mini plenary will then outline what must be done. So let them use their own slot in the mini plenaries and debate the motion there. On the issue of the 22nd. It was in this National Assembly Programming Committee where there were reasons why the plenary was unable to sit like yesterday for the vote on the motion of no confidence because there was no venue. We agreed that the 22nd is available, and I still want to confirm that the 22nd is available as we have done. Unfortunately, Honorable Nkangwini is saying it was a clumsy way. I mean, when that date was presented to us, it was when the matter was on the agenda, and there were processes that had to be followed to check the availability of the venue. So I thought we have passed that stage. Where we are is that the date of the 22nd was confirmed as a physical sitting at the City Hall. The 22nd is available, the venue is available. We only awaiting members to come in their numbers for that plenary. On the issue of questions, whether surely the chair of House Chair, Honorable Frolik, on that day when it happened, where the Deputy Minister of Defense was unable to respond to questions, he made a ruling. He made a ruling that this is unfortunate, and that must be rescheduled for the next session of questions. And that is something that we don't want to happen, that people will just decide not to respond to questions. Already at a party level, we've addressed that. If it happens again, it will be something that has not been planned for, something that is uncalled for. So there is no speaker. Oh, okay. So on our side, we are going to ensure that working with the leader of government business, members of the executive must take full responsibility on the mandate given to them. And also, thank you very much, Speaker, yesterday, that you managed to call into order and exposed various ministers who have not responded to questions. That shows our commitment in ensuring that ministers or cabinet or the executive account to Parliament, and that was a very progressive move. Lastly, the issue of sitting yesterday in plenary on the ANC side, it was not about ANC having a poor planning and disorganized. That is not the issue, but it was explained by members who were there physically that it was unfortunate that other members, who, especially those who were appointed to cabinet, because they were in Cape Town already, they came to the House. But we usually have our own roster, and people attend in accordance to the roster for our seats. And we want to sincerely apologize, unreservedly so, for that inconvenience to Parliament, but that does not therefore result to us being labeled as poor planners. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member, thank you very much, Honorable Chief Whip. I would have avoided responding to that. True that honorable members simply descended in Parliament, and of course there was a shortage of space. It does not talk to the issue of shortage of disorganization, but really it has everything to do with people who were in parliament, who are members, which is what we've been demanding, by the way, from members of parliament. I do understand the issue which has been raised, which is that, in fact, it's an issue which has been raised that we need to go back to physical. However, there have been challenges as well of members who just don't turn up. And you find that even at that very city hall, for instance, even during the debate of SONA, members were there on the first day when the president presented the State of the Nation address. But during the 2 days of debate and the response by the president, there were several seats which were empty because members were not attending. So the whole thing is a bit, it's quite tricky for all of us. And it is something which we need to still discuss, because if we decide to go out and hire a bigger venue, then we must be assured that members will avail themselves at the meetings, at the sittings, so that they fill up the hall. Not for purpose of filling up the hall really, but to ensure that members, we're doing so because we want members to be physical. Now, the incident yesterday was rather unfortunate, but for me, it was not so much that space and whatever, it's just the disorganization and people standing and people making noise in the course of that. I mean, there was really, to be honest, I think we should accept that there was a rather, I don't want to say people were unruly, but to be honest, I felt like people were just, I mean, you can look for a seat keeping quiet, but there was a combination of noise and people standing in the house, which is unacceptable. And therefore, for me, the decorum of the house yesterday was not maintained at all. Now, I then proceed to allow, yes, Honorable Singh. We are yet to respond to the issues which members have raised. I see your hand, Honorable Kwakube. Yes, we will respond. Honorable Singh.
Speaker, I think it was somebody else that came in, so can I just
lower your
defer
hand.
to the person? No, I still want to speak, but a little later.
Okay, Honorable Kwangwa.
Chairperson, let's put it on record that we, as the UDM, we support the establishment of the ad hoc committee to look into all the matters surrounding the Phala saga. Because when we took the decision last year, we shielded the president from accountability. We protected and prevented him from the very same institution that elected him into office, which is wrong. We need to correct that. The second issue has to do with the fact that I think is all. We may have speaking at make securely pana. I mean, if see vatini ngolo siku virtual, how much more kumto kwi onga pagati bifan lokuthi lungiswe. As a side issue, probably I don't see anything wrong with what Honorable Papo said, because Honorable Papo said as a party, because they represent a political party that has majority, is confident that they will actually defeat motion. We've come to this platform and said, when we move motions, that we're going to be successful in removing the president or doing whatever we want to do, because we're going to lobby. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Now, Honorable Lichisa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
I wasn't going to speak, but I realized that Honorable Kwangwa has just made a point that I disagree with fundamentally. We protected nobody in the House. When the president exercises his legal rights, it cannot be reduced to us protecting him. In the first place, what is the rule of law if it does not mean when there is still room for you to go to court to require them to intervene on your behalf? When you take that, how can it mean that we are protecting him? They mustn't say so if it doesn't affect them in their interests, because the decision-making is that there must be a vote. And why should they assume that we automatically agree with them when they know their opposition? It should be clear, I think, that Parliament is a democratic process, it's a multi-party process, and the implications are that the vote will go according to the preference of each political party. It can't be assumed that they are right in their allegations. I think this is a myth that we must expose completely. I disagree with that assertion that we protected the president. That's not our job. Our job is to run parliament properly, following the rules. If it was irregular, if we did not follow the rules, then we would have been wrong, absolutely. But we followed the rules. The president has rights like every one of us. So it is wrong to presuppose that because they didn't like it, it therefore is protecting him. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Let's say with yes, disagree with each other.
No, I did not give you an opportunity to speak, Honorable Kwankwa. Now, honorable members, we then proceed. Honorable Mr. Kaso, will you please come in before I recognize Honorable Kwahubo and Honorable Singh? Will you please respond to the matter of a new proposal for an ad hoc committee on Phala Phala, which was raised by the Democratic Alliance, and then an approach of the honorable member of the EFF, Honorable Kalipi, has raised an issue with regards to the approach of ministers to questions their responsibility, and the matter, of course, of their own motion, which they have submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to start with the point raised by the economic freedom fighters. Just to clarify that there are basically two issues that the party raised with the Speaker. The first one, the letter that the honorable member refers to, would have been, I think, around the 2nd of March, as she says. It was asking for the reinstatement, basically, of the Section 89 motion or process. And the Speaker dealt with that there is a prescribed process in the rules for dealing with a Section 89 matter. Yesterday, the Speaker got another letter from the economic freedom fighters. The honorable member did not refer to that. That letter was asking for Speaker to cause an ad hoc committee to be established on Phala Phala. The Speaker has responded to that letter, and the essence of the response is that Parliament is in session, the NA is in session, so there is no role for the Speaker to establish an ad hoc committee. All that Speaker would do is to assess compliance with the rules if a motion is tabled. But it is the House, if an ad hoc committee had to be established, that had to be done by the House. That matter has also been responded to by the Speaker writing. Secondly, I would like to again confirm that the City Hall is available for the 22nd. That matter was also raised by the EFF. And the third one, the question that was not responded to last week, arrangements are underway to have this question dealt with next week out of cluster. But what that means is that 30 minutes would have to be added. So the leader of government business will be consulted, the rules require that to happen. And of course, the availability of the minister will be established. But if it is done next week, which is the intention, 30 minutes will be added to question time, which then questions will be 3 hours, 30 minutes. Then, Madam Speaker, I think the issue about the DA, the honorable member has indicated that because the matter is on Phala Phala and that they prefer that it go directly to the House, the Chief Whip has said, because there are new issues in the motion, therefore it should go through a debate first. Because if I think that one point that I would want to just make is that if it went straight to the House, the committee would have to clarify whether there will be declarations or no declarations, because declarations effectively become a debate. So I think for me that those issues have been raised by the Chief Whip and the Chief Whip of the opposition, and it will be for the committee to decide. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, that was the response to the correspondence which I have received from both the DA as raised by Honorable Kwahube and correspondence received from the EFF, raising a matter related to the ad hoc committee. Now, Honorable Kwankwa also comes in to say he supports an establishment of an ad hoc committee. The point is, honorable members, yes, I have received your letters as already responded to by Mr. Kaso. I have since responded to all the letters which raise the matter of an ad hoc committee. There are, in fact, you are proposing two different ad hoc committees. The one committee talks to an establishment of an ad hoc committee to monitor the investigations as they proceed. The one talks about dealing with the entire Phala issue. Honorable members, my understanding in terms of Rule 253 is that, in fact, honorable members, when there is a parliamentary session, honorable members ought to discuss those matters themselves and agree whether to take it to the National Assembly or not. The Speaker only takes a decision on such matters relevant to an establishment of an ad hoc committee when we are on a recess which is more than 14 days. If we are not on recess, members should feel free to engage amongst themselves and agree or to disagree, and then you can then disagree or whether to disagree to take the matter to the House or not. That matter is a matter. Ad hoc committees are established when there is a session sitting by the National Assembly itself. I hope that is understood, honorable members. I see now the hand of Honorable Jakude.
Speaker, you had said you were going to deal with Honorable Singh and I after Castle.
Yes, honorable member, and then I saw a new hand. That's why I'm allowing her to speak. Honorable Jakude, I will
Thank you very
recognize Jakude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, you are quite correct that the rules allows for this to be discussed by members, not a decision by yourself. As the Chief Whip of the majority party have said earlier, I want to emphasize that point that they are indicating that there are new matters. So we cannot take the issue of last year's ad hoc committee to the House. Since there are new matters, the DA must use their slot, debate this matter in the mini plenaries, then it will come to the House for a decision. That is what I wanted to emphasize, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jakude. Honorable Wahube.
Thank you, Speaker. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you that your role is not one of establishing an ad hoc committee when the House is in session. This is why we asked that the matter be tabled here in the NAPC, because the NAPC is the one that is empowered to schedule a vote. But I want to draw your attention to Rule 119, which says a member may propose a subject for discussion or a draft resolution for approval as a resolution of the House with or without debate. And what we are asking, Speaker, is that the draft resolution has now been placed under further business on the order paper. We are requesting and asking the NAPC that matter be scheduled for a vote to the House, as we are empowered by Rule 119. Whether or not there are issues that need to be debated or not, we are empowered to have this vote done with or without a debate, and we are invoking that rule. The draft resolution is here. Parties can acquaint themselves with what the draft resolution says, and they can vote accordingly, whichever way they wish to vote. And so, no, we don't want to use a mini plenary session to discuss the matter, because the matter was discussed in September. And substantively, we traversed a number of issues. Now we want the matter to be voted on in accordance to Rule 119. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwahube. Honorable Singh.
No, thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, we would support any move to ensure oversight over the executive, including oversight over the president. And my appeal is that the programming committee must find a way, even if it's not now, to place this matter on the agenda for us to be able to deal with it as Parliament. And having said that, Honourable Speaker, I also wish to bring in another matter which should involve the programming committee, and that's a meeting of the Rules Committee. I think when you are available, if we can set a meeting up of the Rules Committee as quickly as possible, because we got the outstanding matter of the Committee on Vote 1. And a lot of work has been done in that regard, and I think we need to bring that to a close before we rise. And then my second issue would be just clarity, is that I take it that the defense question, as Mr. Castro said, will be scheduled on Wednesday, and that the governance cluster will go ahead as planned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Mr. Castro.
No, ma'am, on the Rules Committee, I just needed to state that we need the subcommittee on the review of rules first to finalize the matters that were referred to it before the Rules Committee can meet on those issues. So the issue of a committee, for instance, on the presidents, is before the subcommittee, various other matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May you then conclude on the last matter raised by Honorable Kwahube.
Madam Speaker, this is the structure charged with programming of business, and therefore it's a program committee that must decide finally whether the request by the member is agreed to or not agreed to. But I think the one point that I would want to raise, maybe as the committee processes this matter and is in the course of making a decision, is whether it is the member's intention that when this matter gets before the House, assuming that it does not go through the mini plenary, whether it is the member's intention when it goes to the House that the member will ask for declarations of vote on the matter in the House. So that information may assist this committee in arriving at a decision. Thank you.
Can you just repeat the last part?
Madam Speaker, when the House has to take a decision on a matter, assuming that we had a debate on a matter yesterday, and in a mini plenary, and this matter comes today before the House for decision, the understanding, the agreement, the procedure is that there shall be no further debate on the matter. In other words, there won't even be declarations of vote. That is why it was decided that committee reports, some committee reports, and these motions and other motions be taken to mini plenaries first to eliminate the need for declarations when it gets to the House. Now, given that this matter was debated last year, at least elements of this matter, I'm asking, when this matter now comes before the House, if it does come before the House, is it the intention of the honorable member to ask for declarations on the matter when it gets before the House? And I'm saying, ma'am, that information may assist this committee in arriving at a decision on whether to allow it to go before the House with or without a debate. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Honorable Dr. Mulder.
Chairperson, I don't want to speak out of turn, but my interpretation would be that there will definitely have to be declarations. Because this is not a question that we had a debate yesterday or last week or even earlier this year. And there are some new developments. So obviously we either have the debate, or if we don't have the debate, the declarations, I believe, would be necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mulder. Honorable Mkhaliphi.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Indeed, we received your correspondence late yesterday, and we take note of what you have written back to us as economic freedom fighters regarding to the ad hoc committee on Phala, because, Madam Speaker, Parliament have an obligation to ensure that this matter is known in the whole country. So therefore, we are confirming that we got your response regarding to this matter. But Madam Speaker, I want to address you on the issue of coming back into Parliament And you just wanted to say that even if City Hall is available, some of the members about attending is they're supposed to attend. Madam Speaker, there is not a point. A point is that the parliament must be open. Whether parliament has been bent down, but you must find an alternative venue whereby all members of parliament must come back to parliament. Because this rotation that has been established by political parties, it also have a very disturbing effect whereby members must be told on the rotation basis. But the fact of the matter, we are Parliament of South Africa, we are voted by people, and people are expecting us to come back to do our work. So this thing of being lazy and then floating the rules of Parliament, and you know very well, Speaker, that if a member of Parliament does not attend Parliament, you must invoke the rule as a Speaker of Parliament. But this thing that you want us to understand is that there's not enough venue of Parliament. As a result, quite often when we raise this issue that the Parliament must be open, you also very fast to remind us that no, people does not attend is because there's not enough for everyone. All 400 members of Parliament must come back to work. The other matter that I want to raise as well, some of the committees also want to convene in physically attending the committee members, but it's not happening, Speaker. And it means that there's no accountability of members of the executive that will take place. Also, those one who are supposed to come and do their presentation, they just do it here with this thing called virtual, and then they're very quick to say there's a load shedding. They can't be accessible. So therefore, Speaker, take this matter serious, because South Africans are waiting for us to come back and work for them. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kalipi. I must say that on the matter of physical sittings, even of committees, it's a matter which one is taking very seriously, Honorable Member. It's not as though we're not taking the matter seriously. I want to also indicate to you that whilst we are talking restoration of Parliament, remember that we have an allocation which is meant for the actual rebuilding of Parliament. But equally, I want to remind honorable members that as we talk full physical meetings, it therefore means that the allocation which is there for offices would have to be used to ensure that there is space available for the 400 members. I just think that at some point, other than discussing this matter politically and its implications of continuing to meet in this form of virtual meetings or hybrid, but we equally need to engage on just basically how much it will cost us if we are to go the route of paying a venue for everyday sittings of the National Assembly. I am not saying that we should discuss this matter now, but I am just throwing it to you that maybe at the level of the chief whips, we must make information, you must be privy to information on the costs which we would have to incur in the event we were to go that route. But I do have an appreciation of the urgency and the need for us to have physical meetings. I don't think anyone is running away from that. We do need, sitting here last week, you recall, I actually raised a matter, which is that it would be preferable now that even the NAPC meetings are held physically, because sometimes I see we have up to 74 members on the system. Besides those who are part of the media, but I'm never even sure how many representatives of each party sit in a meeting of the programming committee, which is a very important structure of the National Assembly. So I too, in fact, have made a ruling to Mr. Castle that on the first meeting after the 1st of April, the NAPC will be fully physical when it holds its meetings, so that we don't have this these very people some people who are on the system may not necessarily be members of the programming committee. So we're not the only one who see the agency. We also see the agency of convening physical meetings. Now, I will then allow I see several hands. Honorable Lisuma, you had your hand up before the others.
No, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Allow me to step down because some of the questions that were asked, Mr. Kaso responded to, and correctly, the Honorable Chief Whip of the majority party spoke to those issues. We'll just wait for the decision to say, because Honorable Kwahuba's point, that's the matter that we are discussing, as far as I know, not other issues. Is that in terms of the rules, they are at liberty also to say the matter must come to the House, which means that if she's still saying, logically there will be declarations, because we're trying to be, Honorable Chief of the majority party was trying to be accommodative, because it was impression was created as if we're just going to vote, nothing is going to be said, and it doesn't work that way. So I think this committee must decide. Because I'm a programming whip, I might not in a better place to decide, because the matter was coming from the Chief Whip's forum. But Honorable Speaker, I urge and beg yourself humbly so that don't allow us to discuss issues that would have ordinarily have discussed it a number of times, and we need to be focused so that we know what are we discussing and what decision we take, because the way it is now, everything is brought on this one opportunistically so, and then we are not too sure what is being discussed at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma. Honorable Papo. Honorable Papo.
Yes, because I think what was raised is that we can bring the motion. A date must be chosen. We bring the motion to the House, have declarations, and then we then vote. I think that must be left to the programming team to look at, so that we don't conflate issues in terms of the date. And then the other issue, I think I will leave it, because there are other things which were brought in, laziness. We were attending since June 2020 during COVID, in line with the hybrid rules. The hybrid rules have not been changed. So virtual and physical have got the same status. Let's not delegitimize virtual because it's in line with the rules. If we decide to attend more, that must be a process agreed to. We're not going to be ambushed into attendance as if those who are virtual are wrong. We have 60 plus numbers as the ANC, other parties have. For now, that's the arrangement. It was agreed. So maybe let's leave it there, but then agree on the principle of the date being looked for, and then that motion being slotted in with declarations, and then we take a vote.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Honorable Papo. Honorable members, I hear us agreeing that this matter will still go to a mini plenary for debate, and that for tabling and debate, and that this matter, following that mini plenary, will then come to the National Assembly. It will be brought to the National Assembly, and that there will be declarations, and that we will vote on the matter. Shouldn't that conclude the matter at this point?
No, Speaker, that's not what I said.
Sorry. Wait.
No, we are saying, Speaker.
Now wait, one speaker. Yes.
But Honorable Papa was not noted, Mos.
Speaker, may I clarify what the request is?
Hold on, Honorable Kwahube, please. Honorable Papo, will you please repeat what you said? I am I'm summarizing issues which were raised by Honorable Melda here and what you have just raised. Thank you.
No, Speaker, I was just saying, because of what Mr. Tasso said and what other members said. We are not taking what it seems to be agreeing, but because there was a misunderstanding that we take the motion and just vote. If we take the motion, which was not started now, but they said there are some issues, there will have to be, it has to be, a date must be decided, that motion tabled, declarations made on it, and we vote in the House. Because that route of in the mini plenaries was to debate it for fresh again. It was debated fresh. Then in the declaration, they can raise this other additional issue they've raised now, the DA, and then we vote on it. That's what I was trying to actually say. But the date will be decided by the programming team.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, may I just propose that the programming committee presents to us a date on Thursday, this coming week. Give us a date. Let us know when we are debating this matter, when there'll be declarations, and then we vote on the matter in view of the latest information received by the Honorable Member Kwahube as proposed. Shall we then leave it to the programming committee to bring us a date on Thursday this coming week? Is that agreed, member?
Agreed from our side, Speaker.
If it is agreed,
Madam
yes.
Speaker, apologies, ma'am. There are two hands. There are two hands that I thought they may want to speak on the matter before a decision. Chief Whip for the Majority Party and Honorable Ntangweni and Honorable Kwahube.
Honorable Ntangweni.
Thanks very much, Speaker. I thought because the Honorable Kwahube, if the whole time her hand up because she wanted to make us aware in terms of what is a proposal, and for us to just barge in and give a proposal as to what they are not agreeing upon, it's also wrong. And the Honorable Papo cannot decide for other political parties what must happen. And he's constantly doing that in this programming committee. Honorable, no, Speaker. You have allowed Honorable Papo to speak. And then when we are raising uncomfortable issues, you want to chip in. We have as much right as Honorable Papo and all of the other ANC members to speak without being interrupted by you. Secondly is the issue of the attendance. There's no opportunistic behavior here to talk about attendance of members of parliament. All members of parliament have a right to attend parliament when they are in parliament and see if they want to attend it physically. So that arrangement of saying that saying that this is it's visual and people must not attend physically and all of that, they must attending to a number, it's wrong. And then the last issue, Speaker, it's on the issue that you have just raised. It's very concerning to even raise it here, to say that you have not effectively planned for Parliament to set committees physically. Now you are saying to us now again, you will have to now go for another special appropriation to get money to have committee venues if we see fit, if committees must be fully attended physically. It's wrong, it's poor planning, and it's very much concerning from you to raise it here to say that we as Parliament failed to plan. If all of this 43 or 48 committees must sit fully physical like we normally used to do before Parliament was burned, we as Parliament didn't make effective planning. And should that must happen, we need to go back to National Treasury and ask for a special adjustment. It's quite concerning to hear that from you. Thank you very much.
That's a misrepresentation of facts, Honorable Ntangweni. I am sorry to say. I am really sorry to say. Firstly, I've indicated here that one of the decisions I have taken as Speaker is that starting with the NAPC itself, the NAPC must go fully physical when it sits, so that we are able to appreciate and understand whether, in fact, all the people who attend this NAPC and contribute to discussion are, in fact, members of the NAPC. That's the first thing I said. And I said, secondly, it has become clear that most committees now must go physically. For me, it's a phased-in approach. And the issue I referred to in relation to budget, for instance, is the issue of going fully physical and pay for a venue on a daily basis for our sittings for the duration of a parliamentary session. Remember, when we pay, when we rent or whatever, or when we lease, we pay per day. We don't pay per day. It is X amount of money. Hence, because I don't want us to be discussing those kinds of things and figures here. Hence my proposal that maybe the Secretary to Parliament and the Mr. Kaso should engage with the whippery even in terms of figures. What would be the concept, the implications of keeping a place fully paid, fully rented for the duration of a parliamentary sitting, so that we all are privy to that information. That's what I mean. I am not against physical sittings at all. I would be the last one, because the issue of continuing with these hybrid meetings, particularly for committees, even for questions, as you have said. Somebody raised a matter here that sometimes people will tell you that my system is not stable, this and that. At a time when a person has to debate, or at a time when a person has to answer a question or to even raise a question, or even a motion. So I'm just saying that let's have a phased-in approach. The money that we have, which is currently allocated, for instance, for office space for members, which is a matter which was raised here last week when we were saying, for instance, we have X amount of money which has been reserved to make sure that there is space for honorable members. Members said, actually, the priority right now is for committees, amongst others, to go fully physical. So there's no poor planning. If there was poor planning, we would not be having even the 2 billion that has been allocated for us. So I thought I should just correct you on that matter and set the record straight. It is in our interest to go fully physical, obviously. But equally, we need to have an appreciation of what the financial cost would be. And I did not talk about going back to National Treasury and ask for more money. Because when we gave you a report about the 2 billion allocated and that the 118 is allocated for up till the end of the financial year, we actually were talking about accommodating some of our urgent needs. And one of the urgent needs would be physical sittings of committees, I emphasize. Thank you very much. So please, I don't think it's proper to misrepresent facts. We've just been discussing this thing here. I've just said it here on the platform. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Now, Honorable Kwahube.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, thank you, Speaker. I must register my my discomfort, because you are wanting to take a decision on a matter, summarizing it incorrectly. The proposer of the matter is on the platform and has risen her hand repeatedly. And so I'm not entirely sure of the process that you follow with taking hands. Nonetheless, Speaker, let me again clarify that we would like the matter to be brought to the House for a vote, and in accordance to Rule 108 of the National Assembly rules, we would like there to be a declaration of the vote. And that's the decision we would like the NAPC to take. Thank you.
We have agreed to that, Honorable Kwahube, that the matter will come to the House, and that the matter, people will be allowed to make their declarations, and that we will vote on the matter. We have. The only mistake I made was the initial proposal that the matter will start at mini plenaries. Otherwise, the rest of the issue, it has been agreed to, and I have summarized it as such. Thank you, Honorable Kwahobe. So the matter
Thank
is
you,
a matter
Speaker.
of the programming committee now, granting us a date for that. And I am hoping that that will be brought to us in the next coming meeting, which is next week on Thursday. And once it is brought to us, Honorable Member, then it will be, obviously, it will come with the program. It will say on this particular date, and then we proceed. Thank you. Honorable Mkalipi, followed by Honorable Sheikh Imam. And I want to, I'm making a plea that we discuss other issues other than the one we have just ruled on now. We've agreed, we've taken a decision all together, and that is the route to go. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm very disappointed that, we're spending such a great amount of time, and when this particular matter is being discussed, many other matters are brought in and confusing things and delaying these meetings. But just my one question, that when the matter is now going to be brought for a decision and a declaration, am I correct to say that the times allocated for declarations will apply and not for debates? Because there's a difference between the time we give for declarations and debates. So if you can just clarify that. Thank you.
Yes, we are not talking debates right now. We are talking declarations. And therefore, the time allocated for declarations is what will be used at that session. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, am I understood? That
Yes,
this
Honorable
is
Speaker.
a debate. This matter is a matter which will be dealt with in a session where declarations by different political parties will be allowed. And therefore, the time allocated will be the time which we normally allocate or usually allocate for declaration for members of political parties. Agreed?
Agreed.
If it's agreed, honorable members, is there any other matter arising out of the programming committee report, parliamentary programming committee report? None. If there are none, are there any announcements, Mr. Kaso?
Madam Speaker, I think the only announcement I would like to make is that we, in line with the pronouncement on NAPC meeting physically, we are also exploring the possibility of mini plenaries meeting physically when we consider budget vote debates. But we'll be able to provide further information in the coming weeks, but that is what we are working on currently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, that was the only announcement from Mr. Kaso. It seems now we have come to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Recording stop.